You too. I appreciate that, Ryan. Thank you very much for having me.
I'm sure they got great stories. Good to have you with us, Matt.
So that is going to do it for us here on Fox 35 News Plus. Give you one last look here this morning as we get ready to head into the afternoon in Gainesville. You see Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, and we wait for the return of the Florida Gators. Around 1:30, expected to be back in town. Expect to hear from Todd Golden, the UF head basketball coach as well. We will bring that to you live here on Fox Local, fox35orlando.com, and also on YouTube. Amy Kauffeld's going to join me for that at 1. We will have Brandon Kravitz from 96.9 FM The Game joining us around 1:15. Fox 35's Jessica Ely going to be on the scene there at UF. So a lot to come here on Fox Local. So keep it right here. We appreciate you joining us.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
A live look at the University of Florida campus at this hour. You see Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. You see the O'Connell Center. What you don't see is Flavitt Field, where we know folks are gathering for a welcome home rally for the 2025 men's national champions, and that is the Florida basketball team. The Gators winning last night 65-63. Exciting stuff there. Fox 35's Amy Kauffeld joining me now. And Amy, how about that game?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to be fully honest with you, Garrett.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say too.
I went to bed at the half.
I know.
I went to bed at the half. I woke up this morning. I looked at my phone and I was like, oh my gosh, they pulled it off. But if you went to bed early, I know you stayed up.
I did.
But I when I went to bed, they hadn't led the whole first half. So I was already kind of like, and Clayton hadn't scored.
No,
not one time.
He had taken maybe one shot.
Yeah.
And so I think you were totally justified in thinking at that point that they weren't going to turn it around because they had shown no signs of it really. And then kind of near the end of the first half, they made a little bit of a push. And then early on in the second half, again, turned the ball, made a number of fouls, and were back down by 12. And so it really at that point was like, okay, it's not looking good.
Yeah.
You know?
So, okay, so brief me there. So just a few seconds left on the clock. And the player from Houston, who's actually from Tampa, he's a Tampa kid. So what happened? He kind of bobbled the ball there, like he had a chance to get a shot off, and it didn't happen. Is that right?
And it didn't happen. So, and then the interesting thing is that at that point, because he went up in the air and didn't shoot the ball, and just kind of dropped it. Had he touched it there, it would have been a turnover. Oh. And so he couldn't touch it. And so he smartly made the right play of not touching it, because that would have been a turnover, up and down, basically, and so. That would have instantly given the ball back to Florida.
Okay.
So he needed a teammate to come over and grab that ball.
And it didn't happen.
And the Gators got to it first.
Yeah.
I think it was Condon who got it to ice it. So it was, if you that play, and I don't remember who exactly it was, but
I just
know
he was
in a tough
Tampa
spot.
Yeah, he was. And Clayton came over and consoled him, and I thought that was really beautiful. Kelvin Sampson's face was just almost heartbreaking. I mean, he was just like stone-faced. He almost looked like he was in shock at the end there. But Gator fans went crazy.
They did. In fact, we've got some video from the O'Connell Center where there was a watch party last night, and it was packed there. You would have thought they were playing the national championship in Gainesville with the crowd there, and then you see folks storming the court as the buzzer sounded. Pretty exciting stuff. A third national championship for this for the Florida Gators.
Right, at 3-3 now, and I read the governor. Governor was there last night. He was very enthusiastic about this victory. And you know, it's funny with Ron DeSantis, you don't see him get very enthusiastic often. But are you going to pull this up? Because it's pretty good stuff to watch.
Yeah, I actually have the video here. I'll go ahead and play that first. The video that he tweeted.
The Gators have brought it home from San Antonio and have won the national championship.
Even the little rhyme there, bringing it home from San Antonio, and then tweeting this about being having 3 national championships in football and basketball, the only school to do it. And that is impressive because, you know, a lot of times you see these schools that are more dominant in one over the other, but that's showing success in both programs. It's impressive to see.
It really is. And you know, the New York City skyline lit up, of course, last night in blue and orange. We got to see a little bit of that. The Empire State Building looked beautiful. This was kind of a distant shot, Empire State Building there in the background, but the Empire State Twitter feed or X feed actually put out a photograph of, if you have that, Garrett, it's
keep
beautiful.
talking a second. I might be able to pull it up here.
Yeah, it's just absolutely a picture-perfect shot. There it is right there. Absolutely gorgeous. That's where the fog kind of burned off, or maybe it was before the fog set in, but isn't that pretty?
Yeah.
Just beautiful. Barack Obama, former president, also tweeting out his praise for the Gators, saying that he had fun watching the Gators all season. He was also very complimentary of them. And Tim Tebow, I don't know if you saw this, was in the White House with the president last week and got everybody to do the Gator chomp. So everybody's a Gators fan right now, and it's just really fun to see. There's also a little trepidation, and I don't know if you saw this, and we're still working on getting rights for the video, but there was a kid who climbed up onto one of the street lights last night at the corner of West University and what was the cross street? I think Buckman. And there's some very clear video, which we're working on trying to get permission, but he actually was bouncing on the arm of the street light and then fell to the ground. So not everybody was smart with their partying last night.
No. This was the first national championship for an SEC team in the basketball tournament since 2012 when Kentucky won it. And not to talk too much about me here, but I was
I love that you said that.
I was a junior at UK in 2012 when they won the national championship, and we saw folks climbing poles and
the dumb
and all that
like,
kind of thing.
right?
So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
just
I read
part of being a college student.
Exactly.
And exciting because it really is a unique moment. It's not something that everyone can experience, and so it's just a really good time and a fun feeling. So. I hope most enjoyed it safely, but it is a really fun thing to celebrate, and all the things that come after it, like today at 1:30, this rally that we are waiting on the start of. Just a lot of cool moments in the days ahead, and there will be more celebrations after this. So.
Yeah. So excited for these kids. One of my dear friends, her daughter is a senior at UF, and she says, "Mom, I'm getting in the car. We're driving to Texas. I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to see what happens." They drove to Texas. They went to the Final Four games on Saturday night. She was like, "Oh my gosh, we're in. I'm going to miss class on Monday. We're staying. This may never happen again in my lifetime," right? YOLO. And she stayed and, of course, got to witness it in San Antonio last night. So you can imagine how fun that would be. But then you have the FOMO, right? Because you're seeing all the fun they're having in Gainesville and you're missing out on that.
You can't go wrong either way, I don't
Right?
think. I mean, so either way, you are celebrating. And it has been quite a road to get here. Florida, these are their wins in the tournament, obviously. Pretty easy to start against 16 seed Norfolk State. Then that tough one against UConn, 77-75. And really that was the story of the Gators tournament for the most part. They had, didn't have trouble against Maryland, but Texas Tech, Auburn, the game last night, those Florida comebacks that they had to stay alive. And the number of times that I think folks maybe wrote them off in some of those games. But they just kept fighting and kept coming back, and Walter Clayton Jr. coming up big time and time again.
Yeah, an impressive young man, and like I said, it just you see just a classy guy. I loved seeing him console the Houston player after the game last night out on the court when he just was absolutely devastated by that. I also want to give a huge shout out to a couple of our local players who are on this team. Riley Kugel. Riley is a sophomore guard who played for Dr. Phillips High School. And another Dr. Phillips High School player, we also have Denzel Aberdeen, another sophomore, also a guard, 6'5", 190. And Riley is 6'5", 207. These are some big fellas. And then we've got one player, Walter Clayton, as you just mentioned, Garrett, who is from Polk County. He went to, looks like Bartow High School. He played for Iona, which is a college just north of New York City in Westchester County, before leaving Iona and then going to play for the Gators. Imagine how Iona's feeling this morning.
Oh, I know. Well, and that's the thing I thought was interesting on Good Day Orlando. Y'all talked to someone about whether we're going to see Cinderella and those mid-major teams like Iona, who used to sometimes make runs in the tournament as Cinderella teams, whether that's something we're going to see because of NIL and the transfer portal and players leaving and that kind of thing.
You bring up a good point, because I think about the Gonzagas and the Florida Gulf Coast, right? Who like in years past have been, Gonzaga especially, like now they've really become a basketball school because of their Cinderella story. But you're right, it'll be interesting to see is that changing. And I don't know. There's still so much to be ironed out, I think, with these NIL deals. Yeah,
but those local connections. Denzel Aberdeen, you mentioned 7 points last night, 2 of 4 shooting.
So Kugel was the other one. Yeah,
Kugel,
I don't know. Did he play last night?
He
not
did
on
not
there. Okay.
Score. Did not play. Walter Clayton Jr. though looks like 11 points was what he ended up with. And like we talked about, that was coming up big in the second half because didn't do a whole lot in the first half. Really helped provide a spark in that second half. He was also named the most outstanding player for the Final Four. So awesome. Certainly deserving of that honor. And I know Fox 35's Jessica Ely actually had the chance recently to speak with his high school coach and his mother. And so I want to play that for you now.
University of Florida sharpshooter Walter Clayton Jr. has been a winner at every level, including here at Bartow High School in Polk County, where he attended school. He won 2 state championships here. So the folks here in Polk are not surprised that he's balling out on the big stage. Florida guard Walter Clayton Jr. is a small-town kid from Polk County making a lot of noise in the NCAA tournament.
What everybody is seeing on the court at Florida is there were glimpses of that here.
Clayton led Bartow to back-to-back state championships in 2020 and 2021 before heading to Iona to play college ball. He was there 2 seasons, then transferred to Florida, where he's been the team's leading scorer the past 2 years, helping the Gators to their first Final Four in more than 10 seasons.
This is one of the things that we've been working for his whole life. So just watching it unfold is like, it's like, it's making my dreams come true while watching him, fulfill his dreams.
Clayton is an inspiration to younger players in Polk County.
It means like anything is possible, and don't let the rankings, and don't let jealousy, all that get to you.
The Gators are on a 10-game winning streak and need to win 2 more games to take home the NCAA title. Clayton's mother knows the players are ready to leave it all out on the court.
Just looking forward to enjoying it, because this is it, whether it's Saturday night or, by the grace of God, it's Monday night. That his last game that's it. That's his college career.
The Gators face Auburn on Saturday in the Final Four. From Bartow High School in Polk County, Jessica Ely, Fox 35 Sports.
And so that obviously airing before the Final Four game, but really cool to kind of see that side of things.
And I love hearing from his mom. And then we were talking about the picture where his mom was in the picture and he was holding a baby girl. That's actually his daughter. I just looked it up because I was like, oh, I didn't know he's a dad. He and his girlfriend, Tatiana, welcomed their first baby daughter together, Leilani Clayton, in December of 2023. So congrats. So that's exciting.
Yeah, fun, a special moment for their entire family now. So that's really cool. And a lot of talk about his draft stock and how it has just skyrocketed. And I was actually just looking, Yahoo mock draft shows him going in the first round. They basically say probably first round lock at this point, going to the Orlando Magic.
Oh, that would be
so how cool would that be? That would be awesome.
That would be. And then, can you imagine getting to play for your hometown? How tall is Clayton? Does it say on your stat sheet by chance?
It does not.
I'm just curious.
I can pull up the roster though.
And I think too, there's just something really special about getting to come back to the city where you grew up, and I'm sure he probably grew up going to Magic games. So anyway, fingers crossed, it would be awesome if that happened, wouldn't it?
6'3", 195 pounds.
So he's not even, basketball player speaking, 6'3" is really not even considered that tall. Did you see the Canadian player who plays for the Gators last night was cutting down the net without even getting up on the ladder?
Don't even need a ladder, right?
Was he 7'9", I think? What was his, Olivier Roux, I think is his last name?
Yes, let me look and
I think
see.
he's 7'9".
7'9".
Is that right?
Yes,
he didn't play.
He did not.
But his wingspan and his ability to cut down a net, I think he cut down the net for the Southeast Championship game too, without getting up on the ladder. I love that.
Man, that height come in handy in a lot of ways there. But yeah, I mean, that would be really neat to see, if he does end up with the Magic. Obviously, a lot can happen between now and draft time and where exactly they might end up. But pretty exciting stuff there. And really just a great way to wrap up what was an exciting season in a lot of ways, and now bringing home that third national championship.
You know what's funny, Garrett, you mentioned this earlier, talking about, Kentucky, obviously a basketball school. And I think that schools always sort of fall into one category or another. If they're a great, NCAA Division I school, they usually fall, okay, that school's a basketball school, or that school is a football school. I went to Miami of Ohio. We were considered more of a basketball school, even a hockey school. You went to a basketball school, right? But it's to have Florida be so dominant now in two sports like that, in basketball and football. That really says a lot. And somebody was joking this today on social media, saying like, "Oh, people can pick up all the Florida football gear on discount for the basketball victory." But really, if you think about it, Florida actually did pretty well in football, considering how the season started.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think you can ever write off Florida football just because of the history. They will, even in down years, there's always going to be, they will bounce back.
That's right.
They will bounce back.
And they sure did this season.
And they sure did. Yeah. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus in our special coverage of the Final Four and the men's national champion Florida Gators getting ready to return home. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to be joined by Brandon Kravitz from 96.9 The Game to break down the Gators' run to the championship. So keep it right here. We have more to come in a minute.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into our special streaming coverage this afternoon on Fox Local, fox35orlando.com, and on YouTube. I am joined by Fox 35's Amy Caulfield. Amy, we appreciate you joining us here this afternoon on what is an exciting day.
It is. I love days like this where we're celebrating.
Yeah, exactly. Don't always get days like this, but always fun when you do. And let's talk a little bit more about this game, about this team, how the Gators were able to do this. Joining us live now via Zoom is Brandon Kravitz, who is the co-host of In the Zone on 96.9 FM. And Brandon, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon here on Fox Local.
The pleasure is mine. I agree with Amy. Whenever we have something to celebrate inside of the state of Florida, a lot of Gator fans in the Central Florida area, there's always a good time to chop it up. So we've got a lot to discuss.
Yeah, so let's just start here and put in perspective for us this season and what it means to this team, to this area, to the state, for them to bring home a national championship after what, even without the national championship in a number of ways, was a very successful season.
It does seem like there's winning in the air. You figure you could add the Osceola Magic in there. They're in the G League Finals, the Orlando Pride, and what they did last season, and what they seem to be continuing on and doing this year. The Orlando Magic find themselves locked into a play-in spot, and the top of the food chain in terms of winning is what we've seen with the Florida Gators. I mean, the football program seems to be turning things around as well, but it means a lot. This is a program that is very well supported inside of the state of Florida. It is the most established and followed program inside of the state. And they had found success in the basketball world many years ago. I mean, we're almost looking at 20 years ago at this point. But I feel like even in that moment, it was slightly overlooked because of how good the football team was at the time. The Florida Gators, as an athletic program for the sports that generate the most dollars, football and basketball, just haven't had that much success over the last decade plus. And so what this does is I think it layers in a different level of appreciation for Gator fans and even just state of Florida fans who can put the hate goggles down for a second and appreciate what it is that's in front of them. This is a very likable Florida Gators basketball team. I don't know how well they're going to be able to repeat their success next year. We'll have to wait and see with all of the turnover that we see in the college basketball world. But there's definitely a lot to celebrate and a lot to appreciate, just given how hard it is to get teams like this anywhere close to your market.
Yeah, Brandon, I got to say, I only watched the first half of the game last night because, we have that early wake-up call. And when I saw that Clayton got shut down in the first half, I thought, well, if you're going to be able to shut down the star player of this team, what are the odds that Florida is going to win? And I was telling Garrett, we were just taking a peek at Kelvin Sampson at his news conference that he had after the game. And, we saw how devastated Emmanuel Sharp was on the court. And Clayton goes over to console him. Emmanuel is a Florida kid as well, even though he plays for Houston. And Kelvin Sampson says, I told him I loved him. I really focused on the job he did on Clayton because he did such an awesome job shutting him down. He made a couple of reads that I'm sure he wished he could do over, right? We all saw how the game ended. But I just think that, really the fact that Clayton was able to come back and do anything in that second half based on Houston's defense was impressive.
Absolutely. And it kind of goes to show the old adage is that you can only hold great players down for so long. I was watching the women's national championship game on Sunday, and UConn had a decent lead on South Carolina at the half, but Paige Beckers was pretty much shut down in the first half. And I remember them saying that at the halftime break, saying, this probably isn't a good sign for South Carolina that they're down 10 and Beckers hasn't even gotten going yet. But it's a reminder, and we see this a lot in sports, you can only hold great players down for so long. Houston did a tremendous job, but what are you going to do? Walter Clayton is an All-American. Walter Clayton was the best player in college basketball throughout the duration of this tournament. You're not going to shut his water off for a full 40 minutes. The fact that they were able to do it as long as they did is truly remarkable, and it just speaks to the resilience of this Gator team. We saw this in 3 of the 5 games they played in this tournament. They had to show this level of intestinal fortitude in order to even get a win. UConn, Texas Tech, Auburn, and then again against Houston. They did it time and time again. I think some people look at that and say, well, you're playing with fire. You're in March Madness. Everybody's playing with fire. How well can you adjust when you're in the thick of those high pressure moments? Because in these title games, defense, rebounding, and knocking down free throws matters so much. The margins are so thin, and they did a great job on Clayton. It just wasn't enough at the end of the day. And Florida, again, with the late game execution, just phenomenal work. Todd Golden has done wonders with this basketball team.
And that adjustment too, Brandon, from the first half to the second half, because Florida made so many turnovers in the first half, but also some costly ones early in the second half, and then they were really kind of able to lock that down and force Houston into a number of turnovers.
I think, Houston exerted so much energy just trying to shut down Florida at every turn in that first half, and they were knocking down shots. I think just the balance of the way that a game is going to go and you have two great teams playing against each other, things were going to go against them at some point. And when Florida got just even a little glimmer of hope, they proved that they are overall the better team. I think Houston is the more physical team. Houston has the more experienced coach. It's really, when you look back, no surprise that Houston was the better and seemingly more prepared team out of the gate in this basketball game. But Florida overall, the talent level, top to bottom, they go 8 deep, and every single one of those guys can play. There's only so much you can do, and eventually you're going to gas yourself out. I think that's what happened. Let's not forget Houston, and this is the case for both of these teams, but just given the way Houston plays, I think it takes more of a toll on them. They played 2 days ago in a game that they had to put every single bit of their energy into just trying to beat Duke in miraculous fashion. And I think when you go down to the final 5 minutes or so of this game, it just kind of caught up to them, and Florida took advantage. I was in the same position that Amy was. I didn't fall asleep completely. I may have nodded off for a second. It's late. What do you? I got a 5-year-old, but it's tough. I had to stand up for the final few minutes of the game. That's the trick. Every sports fan that starts to nod off knows this. But I did not think Florida was going to come back in that game. It just looked like Houston was so buttoned up and so difficult. And it just made everything so hard on the Florida Gators. But this team continues to find a way, and they found their way to the mountaintop because of it.
Do you think that's part of what this team is going to be remembered for, those comebacks when everyone else had kind of written them off? And against good teams. They had a tough road to get here. You talked about some of the games. I mean, you look at those teams they played, and there's a number of them that people had picked to win the national championship in their bracket, whether it's Auburn, whether it's Texas Tech.
I think that's exactly how they'll be remembered. And really, when you think about it, Florida saved the NCAA tournament. I didn't think this was a particularly good tournament overall. We didn't get the Cinderella stories. Nobody wants to see Cinderella go too far, because when you get down to the Elite Eight and the Final Four, you want the heavyweight matchups, but you still want a Cinderella to break through. Let's get that feel-good story. And let's learn about some team, some program, a nun, an equipment manager that we know nothing about. That's part of the joy of the NCAA tournament, even for hardcore sports fans. We didn't get much of that in this tournament, and we got a lot of blowouts. When you look at Florida's games, round after round, classic against UConn, a classic against Texas Tech, a classic against Auburn, and then a terrific final. It was ugly at times, but I don't know how you could sit and watch that game, assuming you were able to stay up for it, which, yes, is a challenge for a lot of us. But if you're able to lock in on that game last night, I don't know how you weren't on the edge of your seat. So I think that not only will they be remembered as the champion as the dust has settled, but Florida will be remembered as the team that made this tournament fun in 2025.
That's a good point there. And now let's talk about Walter Clayton Jr., because Amy and I were talking about a little bit ago about how his draft stock and how it has had to have risen, and seeing some mock drafts that show that him as a lock in that first round. What do you think his performance? Only 11 points yesterday, but as we talked about, a spark for that team. What do you think his performance this season and in this tournament has done for his next step?
It can't hurt. I just, in talking to some scouts over the years, I've often heard that they will go out of their way not to watch the NCAA tournament because they don't want to get caught up in this. It's easy to overrate a player based on what they do in the NCAA tournament and in these big moments and these high pressure situations. I don't know how many ascribe to that, but I know that they are out there. And it makes sense, because you want to go into the draft process with even balanced evaluations, and you don't want your emotions to take over. And if you watch the NCAA tournament, especially as you go deep into this thing, it's hard not to be overcome by that. So for those that didn't watch the tournament, perhaps it has no effect on them whatsoever. I think for everybody else, I don't know how you couldn't bump up his draft stock. Let's also not forget that this is a guy that was an All-American before the tournament even started. So it's not like he came out of absolutely nowhere. He was one of the top 5 or 6 players in college basketball this season to begin with, and then puts together a clutch, highly productive NCAA tournament. I think it probably bumps him into the first round. I've heard some chatter. Jay Williams mentioned this on ESPN, that he thinks it makes him a lock to go top 10. You just don't see swings like that. A guy that's projected to go in the second round isn't going to jump into the top 10 because of a good tournament. Just doesn't happen. I would love to see it. I don't really understand it because he looks like he's a baller to me. I don't care that he's coming out of college as a senior. The guy can play, he can shoot, he's clutch, and he defends. I don't know what else you want in basketball. Somebody's going to have to explain that one to me. So hopefully he does go round 1.
But you bring up such a good point, Brandon, and I think that's the one thing about, basketball that's very different from football, right? Is football players, they go to college and they have a great career and then they enter the NFL draft. And in basketball, there are some of these kids who are getting drafted right out of high school, LeBron James being one of them, right? And so I think there's sort of this expectation like, oh, if you went to college, maybe you're not as good. And we were just talking, Garrett and I mean, Clayton's not that big of a guy. What is he, 6'3", 200, I think, or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, we're used to these big fellas, like the Hakeem Olajuwons, who like tower over everybody.
It's true. And you kind of have to be Steph Curry or Steph Curry light if you're going to be a star in the NBA at Walter Clayton's size. But that's kind of what he looks like. So I'd be willing to take that shot. That's the reason why, in what he did in the tournament and the comps that you can make to players in the NBA, why he should be a back end of round 1 guy. As ridiculous as it is, I think for a casual basketball fan, you watch him play and go, how could that not be a top pick in the NBA draft? He has everything that you're looking for. But Amy, you nailed it. I mean, that's exactly what it is. He doesn't have the measurable size that you look for these guys that, he's got to go up against the Victor Wembanyama's of the world, who's 7'4" and has the wingspan of a Boeing jet. Size does matter in the NBA. And there is a stigma associated with age. And some teams care about that a whole lot more than others. For teams that are 6 years away from even being competitive, and there are a number of them in the NBA, and a lot of them pick towards the top end of the draft, they're not interested in bringing a 23-year-old onto their team, because by the time he develops into a seasoned NBA player, I mean, they're just then entering their window. It isn't the way that a lot of teams operate. I will say, for the team that's in our backyard, the Magic do not care. The Magic drafted Tristan da Silva. He was an older player. They have shown that, especially as they have picks that are later in the first round, as this team continues to find postseason success, Walter Clayton is the kind of player that they have taken shots on, and I wouldn't be surprised if they take a dip into those waters.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit ago. We would love to see that. I think that would be cool on a lot of fronts to have him suiting up for the Magic. So, Brandon Kravitz from 96.9 The Game, we appreciate you joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus this afternoon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, Brandon.
All right. We're going to go to break, but we will be right back. And when we do, we're going to check in with Fox 35's Jessica Ely, who is live on the campus of University of Florida right now in Gainesville. So keep it right here on Fox Local.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus and our special streaming coverage of the Men's Basketball National Championship Florida Gators, who are expected to return home this afternoon. And joining us live now from the campus of the University of Florida is Fox 35 sports reporter Jessica Ely. And Jess, here's some cheers breaking out right now.
Yeah, well, this event was supposed to start at 1:30, but we just got word from a communications media person from the school that, that this is going to start actually around 2:45. So we have some time. There's a lot of fans right here already gathered to celebrate the men's basketball team for winning their national championship.
What's the atmosphere like out there? Can you kind of give us a look around and show it how many people are there and what it's like?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're in the back because there is just a lot going on. I'm going to take a step out of the camera. You see the cheerleaders are on the stage. The band, the pep band is playing. There's, I would say, maybe a couple thousand people here right now. We're going to kind of walk and talk, but you see all of the blue and orange for all these fans that are here. But it's getting a little toasty, but we can expect maybe hundreds more people to come here. Maybe that's why they decided to push it back, but there are just a lot of people, a lot of excitement here on this field.
And so what do we expect from this rally this afternoon? Obviously things running a little bit behind because you can't have the rally without the team here. But what do we expect to come from this afternoon?
Yeah, of course. So we're going to hear from head coach Todd Golden. We're going to hear from the players also. We're going to show up there. That is the stage where the rally is kind of, focused on, where the players and coaches will be. So the team will be coming there. So that's why everyone is facing that area. So we can expect to kind of hear from them. It's almost like a Super Bowl parade or rally. They're just celebrating this huge national championship. This is their first national championship since 2007.
Jess, I know you were at the watch party last night at the O'Connell Center. What was that like? It looked like it was packed and the energy was crazy. Talk us through what it was like being in there.
Yeah, of course. There were thousands of people in the O'Connell Center. We talked to a few fans last night, and they said that they had to wait for hours before the doors opened at 7 just so they could get a seat inside of the arena. There were a lot of people who were left outside, couldn't get in because they were packed to capacity, but the energy was cliche, but it really was electric in there. It was a nail-biter of a game, so the fans were, quiet at one point when the team was down. They were down by as many as 12 points. So as I mentioned the last night, this was actually one of the largest comebacks in NCAA championship history that Florida came back to win 65-63 over Houston. But just a lot of excitement and nail-biter energy. The crowd erupted when Florida finally won that championship last night over Houston. And the fans, they rushed the court, almost got trampled actually, but there was just a lot of excitement last night. You could feel the energy still here in Gainesville.
Yeah, and we're showing the video right now of the fans storming the court. It certainly seemed like something. So from the people you have talked to, what does this mean? I mean, it's a really cool moment and something that not everyone can say about being there for a national championship.
Yeah, I talked to. Sorry, I can't hear you that well, but I talked to a lot of people last night, and they said that this is the best that they've ever seen this team play in the past decade or so. And of course, this was their best season since they won that national championship in 2017. They did go to the Final Four in 2014, but the fans are really excited for this program, the trajectory of this program, what they can do next year and the years after that. Clayton, he will be gone after this year, but I think they are expecting not really a rebuild, but just this team to continue their winning ways, and there's just a lot of energy surrounding this basketball program right now.
Jess, you mentioned Walter Clayton Jr., and we did play your piece earlier talking with his high school coach, talking with his mom. I'm just wondering what exactly. What were your takeaways from that, and as far as what they're feeling?
Yeah, so the player that we're seeing now, I talked to his coach last week, and he said this is who they call him Walt. This is who Walt has always been, and he's finally flourished into this great player. But that kind of started at Bartow High School, and he's been a player who's grinded throughout his career. And his coach said that he was overlooked. His mom said the same thing, that state schools didn't want to recruit him because they just thought he wasn't good enough to play at the level. So he actually played at Iona before transferring to Florida. He was a great mid-major player and kind of established himself on that level. Came to Florida here 2 years and just has really grown to where more people, the more of the basketball audience knows who he is, since he is playing at a bigger school, ended his career here at Florida. But a great person. A lot of people in Polk County look up to him. Everyone there that I spoke to said that they were cheering for him. I was actually there like at a basketball practice for an AAU team, and they said that, yeah, like I always looked up to Walt. This is someone that we like aspire to be. So it's just a great win for the state of Florida, but also for Polk County.
Yeah, and talking to his mom, she has to be proud of him even before the national championship.
Of course, and she said that this is something that he's been working up to for a long time. She said it was actually frustrating that none of the state schools were kind of giving him the time of day, because she said she always saw how much work that he put in the gym between like workouts and practices, and he's always been a dedicated kid, a respectful kid, and she was just so happy for him to even be in the Final Four. Because I talked to her, she said, no matter what happens on Saturday, that was when they were playing Auburn in the semifinal game, she was still proud of him and what he's accomplished in his basketball career so far.
All right, certainly has a big future ahead of him. It's been interesting to see and think about and look at these NBA mock drafts and how his stock may have changed, but certainly a future at the next level for him.
Oh, for sure. He's projected to go possibly first in the NBA draft this year. He was considered widely the greatest guard, or the best guard in college basketball this year. So definitely has risen after this tournament. He showed the nation, basketball world and sports world, just how great of a player he is, a great leader on the court, someone who is steady, who can get points in clutch situations. So I think he really, shot up the draft board.
This Florida team we saw make comeback after comeback in the NCAA tournament, and last night was no exception against a tough Houston team that really locked down on defense, forced a lot of turnovers in the first half, also got Florida in foul trouble. So what do you think was the key last night for Florida turning it around in the second half?
Yeah, Todd Golden, he said during his post-game press conference last night that he kind of told his team to just, stay steady, be calm, and just know that they were going to be able to dig their way out of that deficit. Like I mentioned earlier, they were down by as many as 12 points, but they clawed their way out of that hole and were able to tie it up late, and it was incredible to see. I myself was really nervous during this game. I wasn't sure if they're going to pull it off, but they've proven time and time again that they can dig themselves out of a hole, that no deficit is too big, and that they're always kind of fight and claw their way out of that hole to get the win, and they did that last night, winning 65-63 over Houston. So just really shows the heart of this team.
And it looks like the crowd around you is growing as folks get ready for the arrival of the champions here in a little less than an hour.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. We're going to pan the camera over here. The crowd has grown a lot since we first showed you, I don't know, about 5 minutes ago. So there is a steady stream of people coming to this field. Everyone just excited and waiting to see the team come to the stage, the team and Coach Golden. So everyone's really happy here. Everyone's being kind, and the weather's great. It was raining yesterday, and now it's nice and sunny here. So it's just a great day for a championship rally.
All right, Fox 35's Jessica Ely, we appreciate you joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Thanks.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus and our special streaming coverage here live on Fox Local and on YouTube this afternoon after the Florida Gators win the school's third national championship in basketball. They won in 2006 and 2007, those back-to-back years, and then winning again last night with that 65-63 victory over the Houston Cougars. So we are anticipating their arrival here shortly in Gainesville, where a huge crowd is gathered on the campus there to welcome them home. We expect to hear from some of the players, hear from head coach Todd Golden as well. So we will bring that to you live when it begins, expected around 2:40. So we will be in Florida Live at that point, but you can keep it right here on Fox Local and YouTube for that. But I want to play for you a little bit. We've talked about a lot of different things, but I want you to hear from head coach Todd Golden, some of the players speaking after the game last night about how they were able to do it, about what this means to them and to the program. So this was the post-game news conference from last night, and it kicks off with head coach Todd Golden.
It's a heck of an accomplishment. I'm super proud of everybody in my program, top to bottom. My staff, who's been together for 3 years, has worked incredibly hard to help get our players to this point, and our players, they've been the difference all the way along. Been incredibly consistent all year, have worked with a great work ethic, and obviously we have an incredibly talented group, one of the most talented groups individually in America, but I do think what separates us and what has separated us all season long is our team talent and the way our guys have played together and for each other all year, and because of that, we can call each other national champions for the rest of our lives.
And congratulations, Coach. We're taking questions first, though, for Walter, Elijah, Alex, and Will. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Let's go up front with Brett.
Brett Friedlander, Saturday Down South. Will, did you feel that you needed to pick the team up the way the other guys were shooting the first half? And Walter, if you could kind of comment on Will's performance while you guys were having a hard time getting open with their defense.
Will first, then Walter.
Yeah, just trying to make plays to help us stay in the game, help us give ourselves a best chance to win. I mean, they were obviously guarding Walt and other guys pretty hard, but I feel like we did a great job of making simple reads. And, I mean, Walt had 7 assists, so even when they were guarding him so hard, I feel like he still made plays to help the team win. So just a good job by the team on staying aggressive throughout that.
Walter.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Houston was guarding us great. You know, they threw a great defense out there. Obviously, everyone knows them for that. But, man, we got multiple guys on this team that can go. And tonight was one of those nights for Will, man. He done showed it multiple times this year. You know, never know who night it's going to be, man. And we showed that as a team.
On the left side up front, Edgar from Orlando.
Yeah, for just all you guys, just what's it say? I've already asked one of you maybe on the court, but about you guys' ability to come back in 4 games out of the 6 and stay the course, as Todd likes to say. And, I mean, tonight you guys looked in tough shape there for a while.
We're going to go all the way across. Will, then Alex, then Elijah, then Walter.
I feel like it just goes back to how connected we are as a team. I feel like we all we don't have any quitting. I feel like as long as there's time on the clock, we're going to give ourselves a good chance to win as long as we just stay the course, keep taking it possession by possession. So I just like our resiliency and how we fight through adversity throughout the game.
Alex.
Yeah, I just think a great down the stretch and, you know, how hard we played defensively. I think we got 9 stops towards the end of the game. So, yeah, it was just a team effort to get this win. It was crazy.
Elijah.
It just goes back to what we did all season. You know, every stretch down the moment that we've been through this year just prepared us for this moment, and we showed up, man. We never blinked, and we're national champs.
I agree with what they said.
That is a good answer, Walter. Let's go on the right side with Kevin from Gainesville.
Yeah, Kevin Brockway, Gainesville Sun. Walter, what did you see on the closeout with Sharp at the end, forcing him to, pick up his dribble? And what does it mean to win the national championship on a defensive play like that?
Yeah, for sure. I seen a lot going on. Coach had said we felt like they was gonna try to get something for either Cryer or Roberts, and Sharp kind of creeped down to the baseline. I seen a back screen, so I'm yelling back screen at Doe. And then Sharp ended up slipping it. They tried to set like a little elevator screen, so just went out there. We work on it in practice, kind of closing out, jumping to the side so you don't foul the shooter. So he kind of pump fake, threw the ball down, ended up being a good play. Doe got on it. We won the game, man. And the feeling just surreal. So it's a crazy feeling, man. I honestly can't even explain it, but it feels good, though.
1-0 back, Myron.
Walt, when you go 25 minutes, I think in 3 seconds without scoring, how did you just stay motivated and stay in the game when the shots weren't falling?
Man, these guys around me, man. Like I said, our motto, we all can go. So I understand that if it ain't my night, somebody going to pick me up, and we understand that we all just picking each other up throughout the year, man. We've been doing that all year, and tonight was nothing different. I think the way we won tonight is just it's just an exclamation mark on the year, and it's just great to win like that, knowing the fact that we just a brotherhood together, and we just been picking each other up all year.
1-0 back, Barry.
Yeah, Walter, Barry Bedlin with the Associated Press. On that final play involving Sharp there, what was going through your mind when you saw that unfolding with him unable to grab the ball?
Yeah, just go 100%. Honestly, my mind was just a little blank. We was just trying to get a stop, and we ended up getting it, getting a win. So happy we got that done.
We're going to the back left, Lane.
Hey there, Lane Higgins from the Wall Street Journal. This is for all of you guys, but up until probably late in the season, you hadn't had that many chances to have these kind of big comeback type games where you were down and had to really fight back in the last few minutes. And you've had, I think, 4 of them in the 6 that you've played in the NCAA tournament. So is there sort of a compounding effect of confidence when you get one of those comebacks, when you are in the next situation where your back's against the wall and you're down and you kind of need to step up and make some big plays?
We're going to sweep across again. Will, Alex, Elijah, Walter.
I mean, for sure, definitely pulling out one of those games definitely gives you confidence and knowing that you can win those type of games going forward. But I feel like I said, it's just a testament to who we are as a team. I feel like we're going to fight to the end, and we're going to do whatever it takes to give ourselves a good chance to win.
Alex.
Yeah, I just think we have, elite confidence in those situations. We seem to be in those tight situations a lot in this tournament. So, I think we got together in a huddle at one point when we were down and just saying, we're good and no one's really stressing out too bad. So, we just have a lot of confidence in each other and knowing that our shot was going to fall down the stretch.
Elijah.
I agree with what they both said.
I agree with what they said also.
Very good answers. Let's go across the aisle for the last one for the Florida student athletes. Right there.
Trevor Denton, Way 31. Alex, what's going through your mind on the last play when you see the ball rolling around, and when did it kind of set in that was the game right there?
Yeah, I think it was a great defensive play by Walt. I was questioning whether I should go out and close out and leave my man, but he did a good job of just making him, it was going to be a travel if he picked it up. So just diving on it and hearing the buzzer go was a crazy feeling, and didn't feel real for sure.
We want to congratulate and thank Will, Alex, Elijah, and Walter. The national champions will return to the locker room right now, which is open until 11:50 local time. First question for Coach Golden, USA Today, left side of the room.
Zach Osterman, USA Today. Coach, I think you're the only national champion in the last 20 years to come back from a 9-point or more deficit in each of the Elite Eight, the Final Four, the national championship. How did you watch your team navigate those moments, whether it was in huddles, whether it was little moments, picking each other up, kind of just pulling through each of those sort of, if you want to call them comebacks, each of those sort of stressful sort of stretches?
Our guys have been really good all year, staying the course. And, in this tournament, especially after the first round, every team you play is going to be really, really, really good. And you have to have the mental toughness to be able to withstand a little adversity. We played an incredible UConn team that was used to winning in the second round, had to get through that one. And obviously Texas Tech, great program, had to find a way to come back and beat them. And obviously Auburn, the best team in America most of the year in the semifinals. So, there's going to be times of adversity trying to fight back in those games. Those are all great teams. Obviously Houston, just a class act, amazing program, Hall of Fame head coach, super, super tough student athletes. And our guys knew that it wasn't going to be easy and didn't panic when it got tough. And as Will talked about, they did a great job of never getting too high, never getting too low. When we went down 12 in the second half, we stayed the course. We didn't point fingers. We didn't try to start making hero plays. We didn't start gambling defensively. And we got rewarded because of that toughness that we displayed.
On the right side, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin Brockway, Gainesville Sun. Yeah, just talk a little bit about that as well, the toughness that you guys showed throughout the game and being physical with a physical Houston team and the ability to get those stops down the stretch. I believe you held them scoreless in the final 2:29. What went into that in terms of your guys' resolve defensively?
You know, we've gotten a lot of credit for our offense because we've been so explosive all year and been one of, if not the top 2 offenses in America all year. But we've been a top 10 defense all year also. And we've been able to stand up against really good offensive teams and find a way to get stops. I thought Houston got the better of us in the first half, but it was really just a disparity in the turnover count. You know, we had 9. I think they had 2 in the first half. And as I look here, we had 4 in the second, and they had 7. And our defense won us the game tonight. We got 9 straight stops at one point in the middle of the second half. To your point, we held them scoreless the last 2:20. And Walter, great closeout, and Kondo, great hustle play to win the game. And that's what made this team special all year, is that we could win different ways, and we showed that again tonight.
On the left side up front, Edgar.
Yeah, Todd, youngest coach since this went to 64 teams to ever win a national title. I mean, what's that mean to you to do that? And Billy Donovan was the youngest before you.
I mean, I'm super proud, obviously, but I'm just a piece of this puzzle. You know, I've been able to put together an incredible staff and recruit great student athletes over these last 3 years, and you know, we've stayed the course all year and worked really hard. And you know, my best answer is I'm just really proud. You know, I'm proud to be the head coach of Florida. I'm proud of the way our players performed, and I'm proud of the way our staff prepared our guys to become national champions.
That was Todd Golden last night after the game. We expect to hear from him again shortly on UF's campus when the team returns here in just a little bit, and a welcome home rally. Thousands of people there, as you heard from Jessica Ely, who is there on campus and ready for that rally to begin up in about 40 minutes. They were expected initially around 1:30. Now it's looking more like 2:40-ish. So we'll keep an eye on that. We're going to take a break here on Fox Local. But we will be right back at 2 o'clock, and when we get back, it will be with the start of Florida Live. But we have more.
Florida Live starts now.
Good afternoon to you and welcome into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon live on Fox Local, Fox35Orlando.com, Fox13News.com, and also on YouTube. You see the orange lights behind me. We are coming off of our coverage special streaming hour of the Florida Gators bringing home national championship number 3 after winning last night 65-63 over the Houston Cougars. We are standing by for a welcome home rally to bring the team back to campus in Gainesville. We know a lot of folks are there. They're expected there around 2:40. That was initially expected around 1:30, about half an hour ago, got pushed back. So 2:40 is when we're hoping to see the team arrive back at the UF campus. We will bring that to you live coming up here on Florida Live when it does begin. So that is one thing. At 2:20, Kevin Brockway, who is the Florida Gators beat reporter for the Gainesville Sun, he's going to join us live via Zoom to talk about this season and where things go from here for the program. Coming up in our Tampa connection in just a little bit, a multi-million-dollar Bay Area home now on the market. Nancy Gay going to have all the details on that for us. But we begin today with the Rays Stadium saga, something we've been talking about for a while. And earlier today, I had the chance to speak with J.P. Peterson, who is the host of the J.P. Peterson's show, to get his take on where things stand now that the repairs for the Trop roof have been approved by St. Pete City Council, and the season has started at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa. So where do things go from here when it comes to the future of the team ownership, and the future of the team in the Tampa Bay area? These are all things I talked about just a little bit ago with J.P. Peterson.
Well, it's a very interesting relationship right now between the fan base and the owner. He is not well liked universally. I think that's pretty much the feeling. You have fans, many of them that listen to my show and have for a long time, that are showing up with signs, sell the team, that are yelling and screaming at him as he's in the stadium to sell the team. A couple of my good friends were at a game the other day, and people were yelling, sell the team, and Stu was blowing kisses at them, somewhat taunting them, which is not a good look for Major League Baseball. I've covered this team since its inception in 1998, and I've never seen anything like this. They've had 2 very bad owners in Vince Namoli and Stu Sternberg, and there's a lot going on right now. But with this particular time, it's as toxic as it has ever been. And what's interesting about it is the team on the field has done well. They won their first 2 series. They've had 6 consecutive sellouts at Steinbrenner Field. The fan base is very excited about the team. They love the team. They love the baseball side of it. But the ownership is reviled by the fan base, and it goes back to this long stadium saga, the way Stu Sternberg has run this team, and it's put a bad taste in a lot of fans' mouth.
Yeah, this stadium saga has been a long time coming, kind of building to this point. So what's your take on where things stand right now?
It's very interesting. Right now, Major League Baseball, and this is reporting that I have done, ESPN has done, The Athletic has done. Major League Baseball is very upset with Stu Sternberg right now. He is not very well liked by other owners, and it's because of the way he's run his team. He gets approximately $60 million worth of revenue sharing from other owners, and has been for the 20 years that he's owned the team, almost 20 years that he's owned the team. And they're upset because they want him to get a new stadium. And the feeling has always been it's Tampa's fault, it's St. Pete's fault, it's everybody, Montreal's fault, it's everybody else's fault. But it's pretty apparent right now, and it's something I've been talking about for a long time on my show, that Stu Sternberg is the problem. He was just given $700 million upfront money to build a stadium in St. Pete, another $141 million in infrastructure around the stadium, and another what's estimated at $700 to $1 billion in real estate, what would have been real estate gains and profits, and he still wouldn't pull the trigger on the stadium in St. Pete. So either he doesn't have the money or doesn't have the will to get the deal done. And now the people on the Tampa side that he's dealt with back in 2018, 2019, that he left at the altar there, don't want to do a deal with them. The county commission does not want to do a deal with them. The Pinellas County Commission does not want to do a deal with them. The city of St. Pete, the mayor that rolled out the red carpet, Ken Welch, they will not deal with them. It says that bridge has been burned. He has burned every bridge in the Tampa Bay area. And so it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to get that deal done. Now, the thing is, the silver lining is here in Tampa Bay is there are at least 3 groups, maybe 4 groups that are lining up to buy this team. I've spoken to 3 of them, the leaders of 3 of them, and they have the money. And one group in particular that is kind of remained anonymous. I know who they are. I know the type of people that are involved in that. We're not giving out those names. They don't want their name to become public because that could screw up the deal. But they are what I would call Tampa Bay's elite businessmen. They have very deep pockets. They want to build a stadium in Tampa, not St. Pete, because Tampa is obviously the proper place for it to be. It's the middle of the market. There's 2.4 million people within a 30-40 minute drive. The 10th largest media market with the 15th largest media market, Orlando, 70 miles down the road. Manfred has said, Commissioner Rob Manfred has said many times that they are not leaving the Tampa Bay market. They love this market for obvious reasons. The market size, its proximity to Orlando, the history that's already been made here, and they believe it's a huge part of what baseball needs going forward. So it's kind of a double-edged sword right now. Stu Sternberg is being very difficult about a possible sale, but there are groups that want to buy the team and build in Tampa, have worked with the folks in Tampa and had discussions not only with Tampa's leaders and Hillsborough County's leaders, but the governor has been involved as well. And they really believe that they can get this deal done on the Tampa side. So it's to me, it's the same issues that there's always been. It's one person. It's Stu Sternberg. And one of the other problems here is the other owners, they have to get a stadium deal done in Tampa. Once they do that, they can expand and have 2 more expansion cities that are waiting to go. And that's another $4 billion into the pockets of the owners in expansion fees. So obviously they want some urgency in getting this stadium deal done. And Stu's holding up development on the St. Pete side, on the Tropicana Field side, on the Tampa side, where they would possibly build a stadium, and expansion. So he doesn't have a whole lot of allies or friends right now.
And yet, something's going to have to give. Is there something that's going to be able to force his hand, or where do things go next?
Well, according to some of the reporting that we've done, and again, the Athletic, Ken Rosenthal, who was plugged in as anybody to the commissioner's office, Jeff Passan at ESPN, Evan Drelich also, all these guys are very plugged in, not as plugged in as I am in terms of the commissioner's office. I know much more about what's going on here locally. But basically, there is pressure to be put on Stu Sternberg. MLB has gone to such a drastic length as to publicly say they will take away his revenue sharing and other revenue that's at the behest of the commissioner's office and the other owners, which is an unprecedented step. No one's ever even hinted at that of another owner. And it just shows to you how the discourse is right now between the other owners and Stu Sternberg. So, yeah, I do believe they can put pressure on him in terms of those revenues. And if he doesn't have those revenues, he's going to lose a lot of money. So they can bring a lot of pressure. They've removed an owner here before, in Vince Moley back in 2004. That's how Stu Sternberg got this team. So there's precedent to a removal of an owner. It's not easy, but there's ways to do it. There's pressure to bring. And I think Major League Baseball is going to do that, and especially when they know that they have people waiting in the wings that can get this deal done.
Last thing here, and let's talk a stadium in Tampa proper, because we know there are renovations coming to Raymond James. Also, talks of upgrades to Amalie Arena. So, what impact do those things have on the attempt to put a new Rays stadium in Hillsborough County?
Well, it's a great question. And we've had Ken Hagan on, who's been the Hillsborough County Commissioner, chairman for a long, long time. And he knows the ins and outs of the financial part of this probably better than anybody. The SITS tax, the community investment tax that was just re-upped in the last election, is a key to this because it opens up a lot of money that could be used for stadiums in all 3 areas. Other markets do this all the time. It's not impossible. One of the big wild cards here is we don't know exactly what the Bucks want. The Bucks have not come forward with a concrete plan. The Glazers have lots of money. They're building a stadium in Old Trafford of their other team, Manchester United. They're doing that in London, in Manchester. So they're very busy, and now they got to kind of focus in on what they want to get done here in Tampa.
We're going to take a break here on Florida Live, but we'll be right back after this. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. It is time now for our Tampa Connection, and for that we go to Fox 13 digital content producer Nancy Gay. And Nancy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Garrett. Today we are obviously celebrating the big win of the Florida Gators, and actually Walton Clayton Jr., he is from Polk County, he's from Lake Wales to be exact, and he actually played for Bartow High School in 2020 and in 2021. Now his coach said he actually helped lead the team to 2 state championships during that time. His former coach described him as fearless and unselfish. Obviously last night, the big talker was the Florida Gators, their comeback in last night's game. His mother was there watching him. Let's hear what she had to say about what it was like to watch him play in his final college game.
This is one of the things that we've been working for his whole life. So just watching it unfold is like, it's like, it's making my dreams come true while watching him, fulfill his dreams. Just looking forward to enjoying it because this is it,
And it is interesting to note that when he was in high school, his first love actually wasn't basketball. Instead, it was football. And he said because that was his first love, basketball, not that it came second, that is obviously his passion now, but that's what helped push him so much harder to play and to become a better player. Garrett?
A man of many talents, then. We can definitely say that.
Yes, definitely.
Let's move on to story number 2 today, and that is you've got an update on this the arrest of this charter boat captain. What's new?
Yeah, so what's new is this charter boat captain, that's Captain Brock Horner. He is in that viral video where he's seen jumping on board of a boat of a 21-year-old angler named Gage Towles. Now, a judge recently announced that he is to have no contact with that other boater, Gage Towles. Now, in this viral video, you see the two men arguing over boat lights. Apparently, this was an incident that had happened a few days earlier, and the captain accused Gage of driving without his boat lights. Gage said it wasn't him. You see him come on come closer to Gage's boat, actually jump on board and threaten to beat him up. He was arrested late Friday night for burglary. Now, this video has racked up millions of views, and because it has racked up so many views, Horner's charter business and other charter businesses in the area have actually suffered because of the incident. Plus, Horner says that his wife and his mother have actually been getting threats. That's why Gage's attorney released a statement asking for the threats to stop and to trust the criminal justice system to simply work through the process. Now, through an attorney, Captain Horner did apologize to Gage, and he also apologized to the men who were in his boat at the time of the incident. Now, Horner did bond out of jail, but he is due back in court for an arraignment on May 5th. Garrett?
Our third story today, getting a look at a multi-million-dollar home in Odessa now on the market.
Yes, this has been one of our top stories on our website since it was posted last night. There is a home in Odessa that just hit the market for $38.5 million. This is the most expensive home to ever be listed in the Tampa Bay area. The home is owned by Stacy and Brandon Kemp. They run the Kemp law firm. Now, they tell us that this home is actually more like a resort hotel. It has 6 bedrooms, 10 bathrooms, a guest house that's actually connected to the main house, a movie theater, a massage room, an exercise room, massive walk-in closets, and even a 50-meter Olympic-size swimming pool with a water slide. Plus, here in Florida, this is important, the entire house is made from steel as well as poured concrete, and that's important especially during hurricane season because it is built to withstand those hurricanes. Now, to put this in perspective, Yankees legend Derek Jeter's former home on Davis Islands was listed for $22.5 million. Now, to take a virtual tour of this home, visit fox13news.com. Garrett?
It is a beautiful home for sure. I would have to say slightly out of my price range, even if I were to kind of use it for an Airbnb. I don't even think that would bring in enough income to do that, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, you and me both. It is absolutely stunning, just that video alone, looking out over that lake on the water. And it is beautiful because it seems very open air, and to just be able to look at that view would be absolutely amazing. But like you, I seriously doubt I could even afford to spend one night there.
The windows and the natural light, I'm a big fan of that. Now let's talk about the Sugar Sand Festival.
Yes, sculptors from all over the world are in Clearwater this week for the annual Sugar Sand Festival. They are working with 1,000 tons of sand to create these giant, incredible sculptures. Now, this year, the theme is dino shores. So everything that they build will be built with a dinosaur theme. And what's really cool this year is they've actually added an augmented reality portion that projects images onto the sculptures to actually bring them to life. Now, this year, the event does have a special meeting after the back-to-back hurricanes of last fall. Now, 6 months ago, it seemed like sand was everywhere but the beach. But again, they have 1,000 tons of sand that these 17 sculptors from all over the world will be working with. And when the festival ends, that sand will be returned back to Clearwater Beach. The Sugar Sand Festival begins this Friday and runs through April 27th. Garrett?
It's impressive artwork, I will tell you that.
Yes, and it's amazing just to be out there and to see all the detail and how much time and effort and energy goes into these amazing sand sculptures. It is absolutely amazing. If you have a chance to get out there, highly recommend it.
Yeah, certainly a unique festival going on, so really cool stuff. Fox 13 digital content producer Nancy Gay, we appreciate you joining us for our Tampa Connection.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Welcome back into Florida Live. Give you a live look on UF's campus there in Gainesville, where we expect the basketball team to arrive any minute, and the national champion basketball team, I should say, winning their third national championship last night, 65-63, the final score. And joining us live now via Zoom is Kevin Brockway, who is the Florida Gators beat reporter for the Gainesville Sun, and who's been traveling throughout this NCAA tournament. And Kevin, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon here on Florida Live.
Yeah, hey, it's good to be back, Garrett. Yeah, still in San Antonio. We don't get back until Wednesday, but I know the team is getting back soon, and everyone back in Gainesville is excited. I saw those pictures last night, and wow, University Avenue was quite the scene, and it was quite the dramatic finish here in San Antonio as well.
It was. Let's talk about that, because we talked before about the comebacks that this team has made, especially in this NCAA tournament. They had another one last night where they flipped the switch in the second half, and because of that, they're bringing home that national championship trophy.
You know, it's pretty amazing. You know, you're down 12 points, but I still felt like there was enough time for them to make a run if they could just chip away, get that lead under 10 points at the 10-minute mark, which they did. I mean, they went on a nice run, really, to get back into the game and get it to within 3 points. And then from there, it was really a battle of wills the final 10 minutes. And I thought, you know, the key of the game was just Florida matching Houston's physicality, coming up with the defensive stops that they needed, getting to the foul line, and finding a way to win at the end on a defensive play, which is somewhat ironic because, you know, last year defense was a struggle for this team, and it just showed the growth they made on both ends of the floor. And that's what it takes to win a national championship, is to be able to, you know, win games on both ends and get those stops when you need them.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because there was a lot of talk throughout the tournament, and we saw it time and time again with Houston's defense and what they were able to do. And they really, it seemed like early on, threw the Gators off their game. They didn't shoot well. Walter Clayton had one attempt for much of the first half, and then they kind of figured out a way to adjust, and also to make those key defensive stops that they needed to down the stretch.
Yeah, well, you know, I say they out Houston. They out rebounded them. They played more physical. They came up with the defensive stops. Offensively, it was a little bit of a struggle early on, but this coaching staff has shown a really an acumen to make adjustments to what defenses are throwing at them. And I felt like, Garrett, that was, you know, the second half, that was really the key. They kind of found some things that worked and stuck with them. They went to the free throw line. They attacked the basket. They got Houston's big guys in foul trouble a little bit. And it added up to, you know, being able to pull through down the stretch in a really tight ball game, you know, high drama throughout. And it's kind of funny because, you know, the first two national championships I covered back in 06 and 07, those games didn't come down the wire like this one. I mean, those teams just kind of, you know, ran away and hid, you know, in those Final Four games. But this was a game that was really high drama throughout, and Florida found a way and came up with the clutch plays when they needed them.
What does this mean for the program?
You know, I mean, that's interesting. Well, one of the stories I'm going to write is Florida blue blood? Can they be called a blue blood now? You know, this is the year 2000. They've been to 4 Final Fours. They've won 3 national championships in 25 years. That's a pretty good ledger for a basketball program. I think sometimes it gets a bad rap because of fan support and people look at it as a football state first, but on merit, you know, I believe this is a blue blood program, you know, based on what they've accomplished, you know, in these last 25 years, to have that many national titles, to have that many to go to that many Final Fours. Excuse me, actually, it's 5 Final Fours since 2000. I'm forgetting about the 2014 team. So it's a pretty good record, right? You know, once out of every 5 years you go into a Final Four. That's a pretty good record for a basketball program.
So how does Todd Golden, I don't want to say build on this because it's hard to build on a national championship, but how do you, looking ahead to next year, how does he keep the momentum going?
Well, I think they got to keep the big guys, and I think they're gonna, you know, based on everything that, you know, I gleaned from the locker room last night, I would suspect that Alex Kahn and Tommy Houck are going to come back, along with Ruben Chinyelu and Micah Hanlogden. So you've got the 4 big guys right there. You have the experience there. And then in the backcourt, Denzel Aberdeen, the kid from Dr. Phillips, is going to take on a bigger role next year. Isaiah Brown, another kid from the Orlando area, is a freshman, is very promising. And I think they'll go into the transfer portal, and add a few pieces there in the backcourt. And, I think that's, one of the things now, Garrett, with this being a national championship program, with Todd Golden being a coach on the rise, I think people are going to want to come play for him. And I think it's going to be helpful in terms of going out and getting, the high quality transfers that they want that can maybe fill some of the gaps, losing Clayton Martin and Will Richard, who that was another guy that really stepped up in the first half last night. Will Richard, with Walter Clayton struggling. Without him having that big first half, perhaps Florida doesn't stay in that game. So a lot of unsung heroes throughout, and it was really a great run. And it was, as always, I felt like a sum of the parts team where people tended to pick each other up, and that's the way it worked out for Florida this season. That's why they're national champions.
Yeah, you bring up a good point about Will Richard, because things weren't going right for the Gators in the first half, and it could have been his shots. What, 4 of 7 from 3 that really kept that within range for them to make those comebacks. So a team effort for all the attention that Walter Clayton Jr. has gotten throughout this tournament. And rightfully so. I mean, most outstanding player in the Final Four, impressive stuff. But this was certainly a team win, it seems like, Kevin.
Yeah, and it's amazing. You think about Walter Clayton. He became the first player since Larry Bird to score 30 or more in an Elite 8 game and a Final Four game. And then in a national championship game, he kind of struggles shooting a little bit, but he morphs into a role as a point guard. He has 11 points and 7 assists, sets other people up, doesn't try to do too much, works within the framework of the offense. But at the end, when they need a big shot, he came up with a big 3-pointer down the stretch, and made the defensive play late on that closeout that forced the turnover that won Florida the game. So really, a true all-around effort, and Walter Clayton proved he didn't have to be a scorer to impact the game in the national championship game.
All right, good stuff. Kevin Brockway, Florida Gators beat reporter from the Gainesville Sun. Always good talking with you, and we appreciate you joining us quite a bit over these past few weeks as Florida made this run to a national championship. So we appreciate it, Kevin.
Always a pleasure joining you guys. Thank you so much.
All right, and we're going to take a break here on Florida Live, but we'll be right back. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Let's talk a little state politics here today. Joining us for this Playbook Tuesday with Politico Florida is Politico reporter Gary Fineout. And Gary, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon here on Florida Live.
Well, thanks for having me again. Here I am, coming here from the lovely, right by the Senate chambers.
All right, it's been a busy day, busy week again in Tallahassee there. But I want to start in San Antonio, where we know the governor was last night watching the national championship, and also saw some interesting posts on social media of some folks who were with him.
Right. Blaise Ngolia, who is a state senator from Citrus County, basically posted some tweets about himself and the governor being right there at the game, and including Ngolia at one point saying that the governor was cursing about the refs. And the interesting thing about all of that is that Ngolia wants to be Florida's next chief financial officer. And basically, there he is with the governor. And the governor is the person who's going to pick that job by mid-May.
And so give us the latest on where things stand with that. We know outgoing CFO Jimmy Petronas had wanted someone picked by now. So where do things kind of stand with that replacement?
Well, the governor was asked about it, and he basically just said, well, I plan to get to it, but probably won't pick a permanent successor until mid-May. He disputed CFO Petronas's assertion where he suggested maybe there's some legal issues about paying the bills and whatnot. And he says everything is fine in terms of how they view it from their legal analysis. And so we don't have an acting CFO right now. Apparently, bills are being signed by Petronas's former chief of staff. But again, the governor is going to pick somebody permanently for the job. And the question remains, does he pick Blaise Ngolia, who he was at the game last night, or does he pick somebody like Joe Gruters, who President Trump has already endorsed for the position?
Meanwhile, sticking with Governor DeSantis here, and we know his criticism of House Republicans has really ramped up yet again.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, he's been pretty nonstop on that for the last couple of weeks, whether it's videos, whether it's during press conferences, whether it's not in tweets. And he has been pretty much, just sort of continuing to say that he doesn't agree with what they're doing, what their agenda is, and that they're not focusing on the priorities that he wants them to. And so, I mean, we're kind of in the closing home stretch of the session. Don't know where everything's going to land, but yeah, it's kind of interesting.
How do House Republicans feel about being repeatedly called out like that?
Well, I mean, I think if you talk to them, they're not happy about it. Some of them are fighting back. Some of them are kind of going out on social media and taking shots at the governor and doing things about, saying, well, your agency didn't do this or your agency didn't do that. So they're kind of returning some fire with fire. But in the end, I mean, he is the governor and he can veto stuff. So, it'll be interesting to see whether or not they try to reach a peace between now and the end of session, which is the first week of May.
Talk to us on where some interesting pieces of legislation stand right now.
Well, the House and Senate are kind of apart on the budget, and this week they will both pass out their respective spending plans off the floors, and then they're supposed to try to reach a compromise, but they've got to reach a compromise on taxes because that kind of goes hand in hand with how much money you have to spend. And right now, the House has a plan to cut the sales tax by nearly 1%, but the Senate has so far not gone along with that. The governor doesn't want to do that right now either. He wants them to do something on property taxes. So they have to kind of work all that out to get the budget done. And then there's some other major stuff that hasn't really moved. We've seen really no progress on condos. The governor wanted them to do something to fix the condo problem that was created by the law that they passed a couple of years ago that put financial obligations upon condos. And yet the two bills that are in the mix right now are wildly disparate in their approach.
So is it fair to say that that's not going to happen then? Or is there still a chance?
Well, I don't want to say it's not going to happen. I'm just saying it's, they are running out of time and they have not reached a resolution.
So one other thing I know I saw you were tweeting about was the university presidential searches and some changes with that.
Yeah, there is a bill moving and it's kind of approaches on both the House and Senate are kind of in agreement on this. They want to undo the process that they put in place a couple of years ago on presidential searches. And that essentially is, it used to be at one point in time that anyone who wanted to apply to be a university president in Florida, your name became public when you applied. The law was changed to where only finalists were put into place. But what happened is there are kind of loopholes in the law. And so as you saw at the search at University of Florida, only one name ever was made public. And now the legislature is talking about going back to the way it used to. And, you know, is the governor going to sign off on this? I have no idea. I haven't heard him talk about it.
So what do we need to keep our eyes on here, Gary, as things move forward?
I think you really need to keep an eye on the tax and budget issue, because that's sort of going to be for lack of a word, that's the centerpiece. How that gets worked out will kind of dictate how things go between now and the beginning of May.
And do you anticipate that to be a contentious process going forward, given some of those differences in opinion that you were just touching on?
I anticipate the House and Senate leaders are going to have to reach a deal on how much money they are going to spend and how far they're going to cut taxes. And the question is, does the Senate go along with the House and go all the way over to their approach? Do they do something that they know that the governor may not like? And remember, at the end of the day, the governor could theoretically veto the entire budget. He could veto any tax cuts. If they don't have him in their corner, it could be problematic. And you know, they don't have to have a budget fully in place until July 1st. And in years past, when they've had these disagreements, we've gone into overtime.
All right, going to be interesting to watch. It always is. Gary Fineout, the Politico reporter, joining us live from the state capitol this afternoon. We appreciate your time, and always good talking with you, Gary.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Earlier today on Fox 35 News Plus, I had the chance to speak with Congressman Maxwell Frost. He is a Democrat representing Florida's 10th district here in Central Florida from Orlando. We talked about him launching an investigation into potential conflicts of interest when it comes to Elon Musk and NASA. So we talked about that. We also talked about a University of Florida student being detained by ICE and the congressman's concerns over that. I want to go ahead and play for you that interview from just a little bit ago.
Well, right now in the federal government, we have ethics laws and requirements that ensure that people who have a conflict of interest with certain government agencies are not involved in the disbursement of money, taxpayer money, to different companies, third-party vendors, corporations, and contractors. The big issue here is, of course, Elon Musk is running Doge, and Doge has its tentacles in the entire federal government, completely deciding who's getting money and who's not getting money. And the problem here is Elon Musk receives billions and billions of dollars to date, about over $38 billion from collaborations with NASA through SpaceX and some of his other companies as well. There's zero transparency. The president has said, well, the transparency you have is that you have to trust us. And Elon Musk says the transparency is, I'm going to post on X what we're finding. That's not enough. I'm not going to trust this unelected billionaire to tell us if he actually has a conflict of interest. And so we are beginning this investigation with NASA to ensure that taxpayer money is not being abused and used in the right way.
And so what are you hoping to learn from this?
A couple things. First off, we need to uncover currently what's going on in terms of NASA contracts as it relates to Elon Musk. We also want to know if he's been involved, if Doge has been involved in any current contracts, disbursement of money, ending contracts, or changing contract vendors. We actually already saw this with an FAA contract that was supposed to go towards Verizon that ended up being canceled and was given to Starlink instead. And so this should be a big concern for everyone. And we want to ensure that there's equity within this with NASA and that we don't have a conflict of interest that is resulting in the waste, fraud, and abuse of taxpayer money.
Just kind of talk us through this process here, because I know you did send a letter requesting documents and information from NASA. Just kind of walk us through the next steps here and what people can expect.
The way we begin these investigations is we always send a letter. I joined with the ranking Democrat on the Oversight Committee, Jerry Connolly, but I'm also a member of the Science, Space, and Technology Committee. So in both of my committees, NASA is a place that we do a lot of work in. And so the first thing we do is we send the letter over requesting documentation and requesting information, and we give a deadline for that information. The deadline we gave is at the end of April. Once we get that information, which I expect we have a great relationship with NASA, I expect we'll get that information. We will then take it with our staff and our teams, analyze it, look at it, and then we'll go from there. We'll probably end up requesting some hearings on this depending on what we get back, but we really have to see what NASA gives us first before we take any further steps.
Do you expect pushback from Musk or from the president when it comes to this?
Yes, because Elon Musk doesn't want any transparency. And I think it's interesting to me because they ran this presidential campaign talking about transparency, talking about everything being out in the open. Nothing is out in the open. The federal government has the least transparency it's had in generations because everything is being held within Doge. And I don't trust Doge to be telling us everything they're doing. It's already been proven that the Doge website, they've had to make many, many edits because they keep claiming they've saved money on certain things, but they haven't. And they've straight up lied on some of this stuff and have misled the public. I'm a member of the Oversight Committee. Our committee, Democrats and Republicans, our job is to provide oversight over the entire federal government and report back to the people what's going on. We don't have that ability right now to the fullest extent of the law because of the Trump administration and Elon Musk are not giving us information, blocking information. The first thing they did when Trump got into office is fire 18 attorneys general. These are the people tasked with being independent watchdogs and ensuring that taxpayer money is used in the right way. It should alarm everybody. And he fired them illegally, by the way. There's a law that says he has to give Congress a 30-day notice so Congress has input. He did not do that. And because this Republican Congress they're just lapdogs for Trump, no one said anything about him blatantly breaking the law. So, my plea here to people is whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green, I don't care what your party is, this should concern you that there is absolutely no transparency with what's going on in terms of Doge. So this is one aspect of a greater effort to usher in transparency on this administration. But obviously, NASA's right in our backyard. A lot of Central Floridians work at NASA, and our taxpayer money is going there. We want to make sure it's being used in the right way and that there's no conflict of interest.
Congressman, I also want to ask you about this statement you put out with a pretty strongly worded statement here about this University of Florida student who we know has been detained by ICE, and you call this a government-funded kidnapping program.
It is, and we're seeing it happen across the country. Another huge source of hypocrisy and contradiction. Donald Trump Elon Musk, they were running this campaign talking about freedom of speech. And again, whether you agree with their speech or not, people who have legal permanent residence in this country, people who have a legal status in this country, are also covered under the First Amendment. The Constitution doesn't have, doesn't say at the beginning this only applies to citizens. The Constitution applies to people in our country. That is what makes America, by the way, exceptional. That's American exceptionalism, is the United States Constitution and the fact that we have done this project of democracy the longest of any civilization in humanity's history. And part of that is the fact that we have rights. We have constitutional rights. Every person has it. And so we've seen legal permanent residents, people with legal statuses being kidnapped in the middle of the night, in some cases in broad daylight by ICE agents, whisked away from their families, a lot of them being students, put in ICE detention facilities, and no one has heard of them for days or weeks. Sorry, that's our voting clock going on. And so everybody should be very concerned about this. The other thing people should be concerned about is the fact that they are shipping some of these folks to foreign prisons in other countries. This is some of the most un-American things we've seen in generations from a U.S. presidency. And obviously the latest case is this student from UF, which by all reports is the first student to have been detained by ICE. This guy was driving. He had an expired license plate, which happens sometimes. And usually you get a ticket and then you get it figured out. He was arrested. He paid it. He was arrested, given a fine, but instead of just being let back out to go deal with this, they turned the student over to ICE. And the problem here is this guy is here on a visa. He's in the process of renewing his visa. He's a student. He doesn't have a criminal record. His family hasn't heard from him in days. He's apparently in the ICE facility in South Florida, and we want answers. And so that's why we put out that letter. We're hoping we'll get answers from the administration soon on this.
Is this something that you think? I know you said you hope to hold the administration accountable when it comes to these efforts and these similar sorts of actions. What sort of action do you expect to or hope to take to do that? What sort of steps?
We're still discussing and seeing what makes sense, but we'll probably very soon be requesting a lot of information from the administration with a very tight deadline, because this student is in an ICE detention facility right now. And I don't, for people who haven't been in these facilities, I actually went into the Baker facility, which is around Stark, Florida, and horrible conditions. And these are, for people who don't know, these detention facilities are not for people who have been convicted of a crime. These are for people who are currently going through a deportation process or having deportation hearings and different things like that, and they're being detained at the same time. But I'll tell you that in many cases, these conditions are worse than prison. Yep, worse than prison. I spoke with many ICE detainees, some of them who in the past had served time, who had told me, listen, I'd rather be in prison than be in this detention facility. And part of it is to break the spirit of these folks so that way they self-deport themselves. And it's horrible. It's un-American. And the fact that this is happening to students across the country, a student that's at UF, people are talking about UF winning the game. That's all fine and dandy. But the real news about UF right now is the fact that a student was essentially handed over to ICE, shipped off to the other end of the state. The family doesn't know where he is, and this should concern everybody.
So those are conversation with Congressman Frost earlier today, and obviously a situation there that we will continue to monitor. We are going to go to break here on Florida Live, but before we do, I want to give you a live look at the University of Florida campus, where we know folks are gathering, getting ready for the start of the rally to welcome home the national champion men's basketball team. We heard that they have landed and are now on their way to the Florida campus there, where a lot of folks, fans, students, others in the community are gathered to greet them. And so we're waiting for that to start here in just a little bit. And when that does begin, whether we likely will not still be on Florida Live here, but we will bring that to you live on Fox Local if you're watching on fox35orlando.com and on YouTube. So we're going to take a break here on Florida Live, but we'll be right back after this. Welcome back into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us. So we're still awaiting the return of the men's national championship basketball team from the Florida Gators. In the meantime, I want to play a little bit more for you of Todd Golden, the UF head basketball coach, speaking last night, answering some questions, talking about the comebacks that this team has had, and how they were able to do it, maintain composure, and really make a run in this tournament when in several of those games it looked like they had been written off. Here's what he said about that.
You know, our guys have been really good all year, staying the course. And, you know, in this tournament, especially after the first round, every team you play is going to be really, really, really good. And you have to have the mental toughness to be able to withstand a little adversity. We played an incredible UConn team that was used to winning in the second round, had to get through that one. And obviously Texas Tech, great program, had to find a way to come back and beat them. And obviously Auburn, you know, the best team in America most of the year in the semifinals. So, you know, there's going to be times of adversity trying to fight back in those games. You know, those are all great teams. Obviously Houston, just a class act, amazing program, Hall of Fame head coach, super, super tough student athletes. And our guys knew that it wasn't going to be easy and didn't panic when it got tough. And as Will talked about, you know, they did a great job of never getting too high, never getting too low. You know, when we went down 12 in the second half, we stayed the course. We didn't point fingers. We didn't try to start making hero plays. We didn't start gambling defensively. And we got rewarded because of that toughness that we displayed.
On the right side, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin Brockway, Gainesville Sun. Yeah, just talk a little bit about that as well, the toughness that you guys showed throughout the game and being physical with a physical Houston team and the ability to get those stops down the stretch. I believe you held them scoreless in the final 229. What went into that in terms of your guys' resolve defensively?
You know, we've gotten a lot of credit for our offense because we've been so explosive all year and been one of, if not the top 2 offenses in America all year. But we've been a top 10 defense all year also. And we've been able to stand up against really good offensive teams and find a way to get stops. I thought Houston got the better of us in the first half, but it was really just a disparity in the turnover count. You know, we had 9. I think they had 2 in the first half. And as I look here, we had 4 in the second, and they had 7. And our defense won us the game tonight. We got 9 straight stops at one point in the middle of the second half. To your point, we held them scoreless the last 220. And Walter, great closeout, and Kondo, great hustle play to win the game. And that's what made this team special all year, is that we could win different ways, and we showed that again tonight.
On the left side up front, Edgar.
Yeah, Todd, youngest coach since this went to 64 teams to ever win a national title. I mean, what's that mean to you to do that? And Billy Donovan was the youngest before you.
I mean, I'm super proud, obviously, but I'm just a piece of this puzzle. You know, I've been able to put together an incredible staff and recruit great student athletes over these last 3 years, and you know, we've stayed the course all year and worked really hard. And you know, my best answer is I'm just really proud. You know, I'm proud to be the head coach of Florida. I'm proud of the way our players performed, and I'm proud of the way our staff prepared our guys to become national champions.
Second row center.
As you're Adi Joseph, CBS, as you're thinking in your head toward the end of the game how the end of this game is going to look, there's no way you could have imagined 4 Houston turnovers in 1 minute and 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Is that something that you were trying to scheme up? Is that something that surprised you in their execution? And I guess, like, what did also a follow-up of a question that was asked of a couple people, what did you think when that ball was just loose?
Well, down the stretch, we just made some
UF head basketball coach Todd Golden speaking to the media last night. We are awaiting the return of the national champions to Gainesville here shortly. We will bring that to you live on fox35orlando.com. We appreciate you joining us for Florida Live. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here on the Tampa side of the stream and get you to the regular programming at 3 o'clock. But
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus and our special coverage this afternoon of the national champion Florida Gators. They're expected to return home to Gainesville and the University of Florida campus here shortly, and everybody's ready. A lot of folks there on campus getting ready for it. The mascots, the cheerleaders, the dance team, the band, just waiting the return of the team, which, as we have understood, they have landed and are now en route to Gainesville. So we hope to see them shortly. We will bring that to you live, this rally, when it begins from UF's campus in the next little bit. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and let you enjoy the sights and sounds of this rally. A lot of folks there enjoying this beautiful day to be out there and celebrate a national championship.
I think our guys are pulling in. Come on. Make some noise. Be loud so they can hear you, all right? I said it's great to be a Florida Gator. I said it's great to be a Florida Gator. I said it's great to be a Florida Gator. I said it's great to be a Florida Gator. I said it's great to be a Florida Gator. I said it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise, playing in the street, gonna be a big man someday. You got mud on your face, you big disgrace, kicking your can all over the place, singing, we will rock you. We will rock you. Buddy, you're a young man, hard man, shouting in the street, gonna take all the world someday. You got blood on your face, a big disgrace, waving your banner all over the place. We will rock you. Sing it. Buddy, you're an old man, poor man, pretty with your eyes, gonna make us all be someday. You got blood on your face, big disgrace, somebody better push a bag into your face. We will rock you. Sing it. We will
team! Give me all! Give me all! Give me this! What's that about? Louder! One more time! Hello, Gators! My name is Sean Kelly, the voice of the Gators. I haven't even gone to bed yet. How about you? I think we have a new cheer, and I want to try it all out with you. I'll say Gator Boys, and you say Stay High. One more time. Gator Boys! Stay high! I like it. One more time. Gator Boys! Stay high! Not bad. Speaking of not bad, last night in the 40th game of the season, Florida won for the 36th time, tying the single-season program record for wins. They started the year by going undefeated in non-conference play. They defeated 8 top 10 teams this season. They won the SEC tournament in Nashville. They won the West region and went to the Final Four. And after being down 12 points with 16 minutes to go, last night they won all of it. Thank you for your patience. We had a little trouble in San Antonio, so thank you for waiting for us to come home to you. Please welcome home the 2025 NCAA Men's Basketball National Champion. himself. Please give a welcome home to head coach Todd Golden. How's this look to you, Coach?
This is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Hey, thank you all so much for being here right now. I know you guys had to be out here for a while. You guys have been amazing for us all year. Your support has carried us to the highest level. I know myself, my staff, and our players appreciate y'all more than you know. Go Gators, baby.
Coach, how did it feel when Alex Condon jumped on the basketball last night to end the game?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
How does it sound to be national champions?
Incredible. Absolutely amazing. These guys deserve it. They were amazing all year. 36 wins. One of the best teams of all time in college basketball standing behind me right here.
On Saturday, we have a lot going on campus, including the Orange and Blue game at Ben Hill Griffith Stadium. We're going to change the schedule a little bit. We're going to start the day with a real blowout celebration of this championship. In the next 24 hours, you'll get all the details for Saturday's celebration event at the Swamp. I want you to say hello to one more person before the team finally gets to go. How about hello to the most outstanding player of the tournament, Walter Clayton Jr. Walter. What do you want to say to this?
And simply just thank y'all. We wouldn't have been able to do what we did without y'all. Y'all support all year long, man. So we appreciate y'all.
Well, take me back to last night. The confetti is flying through the air over your head. What are you thinking about at that moment?
Oh, my. Gator boy, stay hot, like he said.
Walter, what do you want to say to the rest of the college basketball world today?
Yeah, Florida back on top, man. This game continues.
It's been 18 years since Florida basketball grabbed one of those. I don't think I need to ask their permission to tell you they're going to go try and get another one for you next year. The hats they have on their heads, the t-shirts they wore last night, they're on sale now already here on campus at the Gator Sports Shop 10, and they're already in stock at the Gator Sports Shop at the stadium. Again, in the next 24 hours, we'll get you the details about Gator Palooza on Saturday. We can't thank you enough. This is a welcome home that we all will never forget. We will never forget what you all have done for this team. And we've seen the pictures and videos of how quiet it was in Gainesville last night. Gators.
The national champion Florida Gators are back home celebrating on the University of Florida campus after their 65-63 win over the Houston Cougars last night. We heard from Walter Clayton Jr. We heard from head coach Todd Golden just a few minutes ago at this event, welcoming them home after landing at the airport, arriving back in Gainesville now. You heard them talk about a larger celebration scheduled for Saturday at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, it sounds like. More details to come out on that in the next 24 hours or so. This is not the end of the celebration, the recognition for this history-making team. The Florida Gators winning the school's third national championship in basketball. They won in 2006, they won in 2007, and they now win in 2025. All right, it seems like things are wrapping up there as some the players walk through the crowd, taking that national championship trophy with them as well. So even though the ceremony may be wrapping up, the good times on that Florida campus are not. Those are just getting started. We saw celebrations last night. The team being welcomed back to campus today, and then more celebrations expected the rest of this week, and also a big celebration on Saturday. Still not a lot of details about that one. We expect to hear more about that, but a third national championship for the Florida Gators. All right, things wrapping up. People starting to clear out there after this welcome home rally. So we will go ahead and wrap up our coverage today of the welcome home for the national champion Florida Gators. But we hope you keep it here on Fox Local and also on YouTube, because we'll be back here at 4 o'clock with more Fox 35 News Plus, where we will cover more about the national championship and a lot of other Central Florida news as well. So we appreciate you joining us. And keep it here on Fox Local for more. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
Florida Live starts now.
Good afternoon to you and welcome into Florida Live. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon live on Fox Local, Fox35Orlando.com, Fox13News.com, and also on YouTube. You see the orange lights behind me. We are coming off of our coverage special streaming hour of the Florida Gators bringing home national championship number 3 after winning last night 65-63 over the Houston Cougars. We are standing by for a welcome home rally to bring the team back to campus in Gainesville. We know a lot of folks are there. They're expected there around 2:40. That was initially expected around 1:30, about half an hour ago, got pushed back. So 2:40 is when we're hoping to see the team arrive back at the UF campus. We will bring that to you live coming up here on Florida Live when it